Hi, this is Rob from Cumulus Cycles. If you're following along in my channel's intro playlist, you'll recall that I mentioned in the video on installing Visual Studio Code that would be the last video in the playlist before we jumped into coding in HTML. Well, as I've progressed through the tutorial series, I've used different pieces of software that you'll need to be familiar with as a developer. So I decided to come back to this playlist and add additional videos on how to install, configure, and get started with these software packages. I hope you find them useful. In this video, we'll look at getting started with Git and GitHub. Git is an application that developers use to control versions of their code, so it's known as a version control system. With the use of Git, developers can track changes to their code, restore files to previous versions, and it also allows multiple developers on a team to work on the same files in a project. GitHub, or github.com, is a website which uses Git in the back end to host Git repositories online, and you can think of a repository as a project. For example, if you have a folder on your local development machine named Contact List, which has all the folders and files for a contact list website, that would be a project folder. And when that folder is added to GitHub, it's referred to as a code repository. I'll explain more on these concepts as we progress through the video. Now, I'm working on a Mac computer, and the Git software comes pre-installed on most newer Macs. So chances are you already have Git installed. To check, launch a terminal in any folder and execute the command git space -- version. And if you have Git installed, you should see something similar to what I have on my screen. If you don't have Git installed, you can install it yourself by going to the Git website, clicking on Documentation, then Book, then Section 1.5 Installing Git. Scroll down to your operating system and follow the instructions. Now, before we start using Git on our development machines, we'll need to set up an account on github.com. There are different account levels on GitHub, but the free account will be fine for us in this tutorial series. To get started, click the Sign Up button. Enter your email, create a password, enter a username, then solve the puzzle to start your account verification. Click Create Account, then check your email for the launch code to complete your account verification. When taken to your dashboard, click the icon in the upper right-hand corner of the page, then scroll down and select Settings. Find the Developer Settings link at the bottom left of this page and click it. Then click Personal Access Token and Generate Personal Access Token. Enter a note to identify which access token this is for and select an expiration time. Then check the repo checkbox and scroll to the bottom of the page and click Generate Token. Make sure to copy this token and save it, as you'll need it in the next steps to create your GitHub account on your local machine. Now, go back to your terminal and enter these two commands, replacing your username and email address as appropriate, and hit Enter after each line. Then, type the command git config -- list to verify your settings. To exit this command, press the Escape key on your keyboard, then the exclamation mark key, then Q, and hit Enter. Finally, enter this command and hit Enter. Your local machine is now configured to work with your GitHub account. Now, go back to your GitHub dashboard, click the icon in the upper right of the page, and select the Your Repositories link. Then click New, then enter Demo in the repository name field. Enter a description, select Private, then scroll down and click the Create Repository button. This will bring you to the repository quick setup page. Click the HTTPS button, then click the icons to the right of the repository link to copy the address to your clipboard. You'll now use this address to create a local copy of this repository on your development machine. Back in the terminal, enter the following command: git space clone space the address of the repository that you copied, which is in your clipboard, and hit enter. Now enter the email address you used to create your GitHub account and hit enter. Then paste in the GitHub personal access token you created when you first set up your GitHub account and hit enter. This has cloned or copied the repository from GitHub to your local machine. Now change directory into that cloned repository folder and execute a ls-al command, and you should see a .git folder listed. This tells you that you are now in a folder which is under Git source control. Type the command code space dot and hit enter to launch VS Code in this folder. Create a new file named readme.md. Enter a £, then a space, and then the name of your project. I'll write Cumulus Cycles. Then click save and go back to the terminal. Enter the command git status and hit enter, and this will show you that you have files in this folder that Git isn't tracking. So type the command git add -a and hit enter to add your new file to Git source control. Then enter the command git commit -m, then within quotes add a commit message, and hit enter to commit this change to Git. And finally, enter the command git push and hit enter to push your local changes to the repository on GitHub. Now, go back to GitHub and refresh your repositories page, and you should see a new view listing your README file. Now, that was a whirlwind tour of creating a GitHub account, configuring Git locally, creating and cloning a repository, then adding, committing, and pushing a new file from your development machine to your remote repository on GitHub. So that's all for using Git now, but I'll be showing you how to use these commands and many more in tutorials on my channel. I hope to see you there.